Good morning. Welcome to the Digital City Festival and this morning's keynote. I'm Richard Gregory. I'm a non-exec and advisor to a number of agencies and tech startups. And for a couple of years, I headed up Tech North, so it's no surprise that I'm fascinated by the potential for growth in the economy in this region. In this keynote session, our wonderful panelists will reflect on the digital acceleration journey. So far, they're going to examine current trends and discuss the emerging opportunities and challenges currently facing the region's digital economy. Now it's time to introduce our esteemed panel. And I'm going to ask each of them just to tell us a little bit about their organisation and their role within it before we get onto the questions. If I can go first to Lorna, founder and CEO of Red Wigwam.
Hi, I'm Lorna Davidson, and yes, founded Red Wigwam. Red Wigwam is a slightly different type of business. It's a platform that matches workers and hirers. So it uses tech to change work for good.
A topic that's come up a couple of times already this morning, and we know it's a recurring one, is around talent. The North is home to some wonderful, some world-class education facilities, and remote working is now becoming an attractive proposition. What do cities need to do to retain their talent there?
I think it's interesting, and I absolutely agree with Katie and Sarah. It is about changing and about understanding the changes that people are going through. So I think the biggest thing about talent that is changed is people want to work for businesses they're proud of. They want to understand the purpose. They want to understand the values of the business, much more than actually what's my title and what am I going to get paid for it. That is much more really important in terms of people and how they develop. So I think it's really important that businesses and the city understand their value and purpose. I think the other thing that, and we've talked about it already, but the pandemic has heightened this for us, is people want to be treated properly. They want to go to work, they want to be developed, they want to do a great job, but they want to be treated in the correct way. And we at Red Wigwam talk about flexibility, and that's a little bit different than remote working, because remote working is about working from home. Flexibility for us is about working in a way that you choose to, so in a way that fits with your life. And again, I think that's very important. And I think as a city, one of the things that Manchester does do is offer lots of other things than just great places to work. And I think that's hugely important. I think the other thing that people need to recognise is that the talent that we're now all trying to attract, but most importantly keep, have a very different view in life than when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, my parents would tell me, you've got to get 3 months' salary behind you because, you know, you might lose your job and you've got to pay your mortgage. Now, generations are putting money behind them because actually if they're not happy, they're just going to move on.
Yeah.
So where, you know, we would stick with things, they don't. And I think that's the thing that people have got to recognise, that they've got a much more discerning marketplace and they have to be better at what they do.
One other thing I've been thinking about a bit is obviously when we talk about remote working, it's also considering about, you know, employing people from all over the country, the world, you know, working with those time zones, etc. And I haven't quite got my head around whether that's how much of a challenge versus an opportunity that is, particularly for a region. You know, whilst we might be able to have, you know, lots of people in the Northwest or in Manchester working for London or overseas companies, equally those Northwest businesses might be employing people in other countries if they can't find the talent on their doorstep. How do you see it at the moment? And equally, by the way, if any of the other panellists have a view on this, shout and we'll go to you as well.
I think it's a really interesting point, because I think there is this movement in terms of how we're doing things and how we're doing it differently. And I'm not sure we've all quite got our head around that. So working flexibly is really important for people. But what we have to do is we have to be really good leaders in our business to make that work for us. Mm-hmm. So we've all done this. We've done Zoom calls till they're coming out our ears. Actually managing a team remotely like that is a very different set of skills than when you're sitting in an office. And those are the things that I think we need to work on if we're bringing people from other countries, other parts of the country, or even if you know, people from Manchester are working elsewhere. We need to help them understand how to behave, but also how to be managed at the same time. And I think that's hugely important.
I want to come back to Lorna now, if I can. And so the lockdown, combining that with digital innovation, the lockdown saw some great examples of digital businesses stepping in to provide innovative solutions to some of society's biggest challenges. Red Wigwam, your own business, have just launched a service to connect companies with much needed cleaning staff on demand, because obviously we've all had to get a lot cleaner and sanitised everywhere. Can Can you tell us a bit more about connecting your digital business to other parts of the economy, please?
Yeah, like everybody, we've been through a journey at Red Wigwam. You know, we used to do a lot of work in hospitality, that closed down, etc. But what we discovered was that both and we call them wigwammers, so the people that work with us, and our hirers had a different demand. So they were looking for opportunities to work flexibly, but actually remove risk. So a lot of our hirers were saying, I want to be able to open the marketplace back up, but I don't know when it's going to be. How do I go about that? And the thing that we discovered was that actually, and lots of companies have been talking about pivoting, we didn't actually pivot. What we did is we focused. So what we did is we looked at the services we were providing in the marketplaces and said, what do they really, really need to be able to open up in the right way? And so as you mentioned, cleaning is one of the ones. We've done a lot of work with facility management companies, as you would. But what we recognized was actually they just didn't need cleaners. They needed amazing cleaners. They needed people that could work on their own, that had self-initiative, could be trusted to go in and represent their brand. So what we did is we used the tech to actually do online training, do different types of guidance for our guys in terms of video links and things like that. And that focus has allowed us to offer something very different to the marketplace in terms of being able to be open 24/7, to be able to get cleaning staff whenever you need them, but know that they're great cleaning staff very quickly. So for us, it was about focus. And one of the things we've learned through this pandemic is that actually companies require us to be quite focused and understand their industry, what they need, and make sure we're matching that.
Oh, you're preaching to the converted. I'm a massive believer in focus. Too many companies spread themselves too thin in too many different areas. So that ability to find the thing that you can get everyone behind and that clients and customers can understand is absolutely wonderful. Do you have anything to add to that?
For me, I think the working day will change. So one of the things that I'm working on with my team is obviously trying to get some of them back into the office because, as Katie said, I've got a very young team and they are desperate, to interact with other people, but also for their development, etc. But I think one of the things we're trying to do is think about how we work differently in the office. So rather than it just being the same way we worked at home and now we work in the office together. So we've got sort of days where we are taking a project in the morning and we're going to try and deliver it by close of play that day so that each of the teams will work with each other, but we'll actually have a really clear deliverable that we'll work on rather than just doing the same job in a different place.
Absolutely wonderful. And as we come to wrap up the session now, I just want to come back to each of you. And if you can kind of sum up in a couple of sentences, there's been a lot to celebrate despite the tough times over the last year, and we've still got a long way to go. What will be the priorities within your organisations over the next 12 months to continue to accelerate your role within the digital economy? And if I start with Lorna first.
Yeah, we've put a lot of thought into this, and so we're very clear. Innovation is at the heart of our business. We're going to have to keep innovating and moving very quickly. We'll only achieve that if we've got great people, if we're outstanding at what we do, but we need a really strong digital presence where we allow our customers to interact with us, talk to us, but we make sure that we listen. So without a doubt, innovation is at the heart of everything we do.